Hello everybody, I'm Chef Ben. This is Chit Chat Chop, and I am joined tonight by my guest Mike Tanner of One Red Cap Media and the director?
Director.
And the director of PodCamp.
That's
I
correct.
almost said the other one.
The other one. That's okay, I do a lot of things.
You do a lot of things. We'll get into that in a bit.
Sure.
We have to jump right into this because you've chosen poorly tonight.
I have. That's the story of my life.
Mike has chosen to make cookies. For those of you that know me, I don't like making cookies. So Mike is already on my bad side. So we're going to make some cookies and we'll talk. So Mike, first thing I need you to do is we're going to whip this butter.
Okay.
So we have 1 cup of butter and I need you to whip that.
And I'm using this?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's the KitchenAid?
Oh, there is no KitchenAid. The KitchenAid is for guests I like.
So Ben decided if you're going to make me do this, you're going to do this 100% by hand.
Exactly. And while you're doing that, I'm going to mix the dry ingredients, which is much easier than what you're doing.
That's fair.
Okay. So
that's the best way to do this.
Well, you're struggling with that. Let's talk about PodCamp.
Yes.
Because that's coming up this weekend. It's Sunday.
Yep.
This show is going to be there. We'll get into that in a bit. So tell me about it.
So
you're bad at that.
I'm bad at that. It's all in the inside of the thing. Is there a thing I can push it out with?
No.
Just how do you go like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just do that.
Just do that? Okay.
But answer my questions.
So PodCamp is an event that I've been working with for a few years now. I originally came as a speaker, and then I was asked to join the executive of it, and then everyone else left. And so I ended up being sort of the person who kind of got it going again last year. And so it's a free community-driven event where people basically get to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So it's a digital event, so there's people who are there talking about programming, software development, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people there talking about social media, marketing, all that kind of things. I'll be there giving a talk about, this is amazing. I'll be there giving a talk about, yeah, that's perfect. Notifications and how we're probably spending way too much time looking at the stupid things that pop up on our phone. And yeah, it's a really cool event. We get about 250 to 300 people that come out usually. And it's free.
Who goes to it? So it's free.
It's totally free.
But who's going to it?
So I didn't go originally because the first time I ever heard about it, I was like, I don't have a podcast, so I guess I won't go to it. And then I found out that there's a lot of other topics. So the people range from, we've got CEOs that go, like CEOs of big local companies come. But we also have stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, people that are students. We've got basically, assuming you are alive in this time, there's a good chance that you'll find something of use there, which is kind of the way we wanted to do it.
Gotcha.
Wow, I am actually real bad at this. There's a
lot.
lot.
No, I'm not.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you? This is amazing.
I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen.
We have the cookies that we bought earlier today ready for when this is over, right? Okay, cool. All right, so, what do I have to do now?
So just keep mixing it.
Just keep mixing? Yeah. All right, I'm going to put this down.
Are you doing a talk?
I am doing a talk. I'm doing a talk in the morning.
I was so distracted by how bad
I was at this that you were like, what is this guy even doing?
So what other kind of talks are going on?
So there's we've got people that are entrepreneurs talking about sort of how they grew their business, how they got started. We have marketers talking about how to basically write reports and do things that people actually want to look at instead of sort of the general sort of, hey, that's a spreadsheet, I want to kill myself kind of mentality. But we have people talking about almost everything. We've got Andrew Burke is coming to talk about, he's involved with a play that's happening using augmented reality as part of their part of their thing. So there's basically like the topics are amazing. There's people talking about the online, like the free online education system, like Coursera, Udemy, all that kind of thing, where people can kind of learn anything they want now for free on their own time. And so there's not really much that,
Here, let's switch. You
okay, I'm going to do this soft powdered thing that requires, this is really easy. I just want you to know. And yet I still somehow managed to spill some of it. It's amazing. I have 2 kids, and looking at how I am at making food, it's amazing they've made it this long in their life, that they're still alive. But yeah, so PodCamp is something I was really passionate about once I joined, just because I saw a need for people to have a way to connect with other people.
How long has it been going on?
So it's actually 7 years that it's been happening.
And you've been involved?
I've been involved for 3 years. The first year we didn't have a conference because literally everyone who was on the executive kind of left and had moved on and those kind of things. So we sort of prepped for a year, did it last year, and then we're doing it again this year on Sunday.
And so it's an unconference, am I?
It's an unconference,
Correct.
which then people are always like, what are you even talking about?
I said those words and didn't know what they meant.
So an unconference basically means that it doesn't follow the way a conference is in terms of like, you have to be at this, you have to be at that. One of the big rules of PodCamp is the rule of 2 feet, which means if you're in a classroom and you're not getting what you want out of it, you literally just get up and leave, which is really intimidating for a lot of speakers. Like it would be like if you right now were like, this isn't working, and you just left.
I wish I could do that.
So, you know, and it's also community driven. So instead of us being like, these are the topics we want to talk about, these are the people we want to have, anyone from the community can apply to speak. We've had a lot of people that this was their original speaking event. So, for example, Ross Simmons, the coolest cool. Ross is now an internationally known speaker who speaks at all these conferences. Ross's first speaking was at PodCamp, where he was like, okay, let's try to get in front of someone and actually talk. So that's kind of one of the real positives about it, is we've got people who've never spoken in front of someone who all of a sudden are in front of all these faces. So
next year, could I do a talk about letting guests on your show choose their own food?
100%.
And how you shouldn't do that?
Just the idea of choice in general, how it's
choice
wrong.
Is terrible.
It's a bad idea. Yeah. So I want to say the reason I chose this, and I'm glad that you're also bad at baking because it makes me feel better.
I'm not bad at baking.
You don't like to bake.
I don't like baking.
That's a difference. It would be terrible if you were like, I'm not good at cooking. That would be a bad idea for this, obviously. But the reason that I wanted to make this is because I have never, I have never successfully baked a cookie in my entire life.
I don't think tonight's going to be your
I don't
night.
think it's tonight, but.
Okay, so let's talk about Red Cat Media. One Red Cat.
One Red Cat.
Where'd the
Media.
name come from?
The name is interesting in that it was something that I was doing on a different project. I was actually doing a small comedy troupe with some friends where we were doing some videos and stuff that were comedic in nature, and we were looking for a name, and we came up with the idea of original copycat. And then we discovered that that was taken across every social media, every website, etc. But the image we originally used was one red cat in the middle of all these black cats. And so when I all of a sudden had clients who were like, we need you to do work for us, I literally just stole that. Always with the idea that I would change it at some point. Like always my idea was like, when I'm actually doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and change my name. And then I just got to the point where I was like, oh, everyone kind of knows me as that, and it seems to work really well, and now I really like it. Red has become my favorite color. It was not my favorite color before.
There you go.
And now it is.
All right, slowly start dumping that in here.
Slowly.
You wear red tonight because you knew it would clash with pink.
I had a red
slow.
shirt on before I came here, but it's the shirt that I have worn to like every. Am I going too fast?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so what does One Red Cat Media do?
So we describe ourselves as helping businesses find their place online.
How many of you are there?
2 of us, basically. We hire a number of local freelancers when we actually have a project to do. So I have graphic designers that I work with, but basically it's myself and my partner, Mike Sear.
Okay.
It's super confusing to have 2 mics, but we figure why not? It works together. So we do web development, we do social media training, we do social media management.
Whoa, gear down, big red, a little too fast there.
You gave me the sign. We were doing this. That's pretty exciting.
You do content?
Nobody makes cookies like this ever.
Why not? This looks like the best way to make cookies.
This is how they made cookies before electricity.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We're going old school with this cookie make. So we do content like I blog for clients as well as myself. I actually write for a blog called Yummy Mummy Club, which I'm always very careful to immediately explain what they do, because there's often some question as to what they do. Yummy Mummy Club is a blogging and marketing company.
It's a family show, just so you know.
This will work out then. Okay. It's started by Erica M., who used to be a Much Music VJ.
Okay.
And yeah, she has a blogging company, Yummy Mummy Club, that does they do parenting, blogging, and marketing. And so I write for them pretty regularly about the terrible ways that I am a parent. For example, my most popular post that I've ever written about is how I super glued my daughter's eye shut.
Oh.
which this year I had to explain to an optometrist how that had happened.
Now, I don't have kids.
Why that had happened. Yeah.
But I feel like that's not what you want to do.
It's frowned upon.
I was praised for my quick thinking after it happened, but I was also, there was a real look of like, maybe that's not something you should do.
Did you get pulled in like a special room when you went to the hospital?
No. Well, I didn't go to the hospital. I did it all at home. The problem with that was actually I was trying to like get her to say things like, to make her understand, like I was trying to say like, how many fingers am I holding up? And my son, who was there as well, thought it was a contest. So he was 3. And I was like, shh, I'm trying to see if your sister's blind now. So I do a lot of blogging. I do social media management. I do web development. I do marketing, branding, all those kind of things. And basically, I do whatever people need me to do. Do you want me to mix that up?
Yeah,
Now
I
that
don't.
I've made you really.
So
Your boy
That's
Mike
down.
said you need some baking lessons. He just give you the gears on.
Mike Sear?
He said, this is gold.
So for the record,
Mike's like 14 years old. He's never made anything in his life.
this is a recipe that Mike sent me,
I did.
and it does not seem like it's going to work out very
No, I think it's going to be fine.
There's not enough liquid in it.
There's.
Where's the pastry chef when we need it?
Jan, can you please call into the shop and help us here?
No, this is going to be fine. I think we need to get in here with our hands is the problem.
You don't want to do it. You don't want to melt the
That's
butter.
not really how you make cookies.
What's that?
That's not really how you make
Don't show what's in the bowl.
This looks great, everybody.
cookies.
What time is? Oh, we're
Cookie making 101.
all out of time for
All out of
today.
time for this week.
Gorgeous.
You gotta bake these cookies in like 15 minutes.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
What do you guys do? The sand?
I need to be a takeover here. You guys come over
right,
here
get
and I will
All right.
finish the cookies.
So how did you?
No, we're real good at this.
How did you get into digital media and like a marketing company?
I was managing a computer shop that worked with Apple products that shut down when we got the Apple store in town. I'm going to drink more wine because that's working out really well for me so far with the cooking.
Drop a little in here. It might help.
And when the store closed, I was asked by a couple of former clients to do some work for them. I'd managed some of the social media for the store, some of the website stuff. And I was going home to be home full time with my son who was just born. I was going on paternity leave, and when I went on paternity leave, they were like, by the way, there's not going to be a store when you come back. So I was like, that's exciting and new. And so I ended up just staying home. And
you are a stay-at-home dad, right?
I'm a stay-at-home dad. So my son is in grade 1 now, so he's gone during the day. My daughter is in preschool 3 mornings a week now. So I used to do everything that I did for the last several years between 8 p.m.
So what's
and
a
10 p.m.
stay-at-home dad with no kids at home?
It's awesome. That's the only time that I actually do my work now.
Okay.
So I basically do all of my web development, content, social media between like 9:15 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then the rest of the time is literally like gymnastics, swimming, every other class you can imagine, and trying to make my children not kill each other most of the time. So, yeah.
Well, they don't have to worry about getting hopped up on sugar.
That is not a problem. Both of my kids are actually sugar intolerant.
Oh.
So they don't have any sugar.
Is that just what you
ever.
tell them so that they
So that
won't-
they don't have sugar. My son has asked me a few times if he can have coffee, and I was like, you're insane now. There's no way that I'm ever, like, as long as I live, I'm not letting you have caffeine. It's going to be bonkers. This looks much better
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
coming
doing it, by the
together.
way. Yeah,
I knew what I was doing the whole time.
100%.
We already have them in the oven and we bake
Yeah, but we wouldn't be able to talk. It'd be too loud.
That's true. Although the KitchenAid would have done this in like
Mike?
8 seconds, and then we would have been.
Shut up, Mike, man. Come on. You're making me look bad.
So this last year, I actually focused a lot on trying to figure out what I was doing. So the talk that I'm giving this weekend at PodCamp actually sort of stemmed from me being like, okay, I have not as much time as I want to have. So how do I make the most of that time? I wrote a book this year.
I was going to bring that up. Actually.
Well, there you go. You're very good at this interviewing thing.
Thank you.
You're better at
I don't
interviewing.
even have to do it. You're just doing it yourself.
You're better at
It's
interviewing
awesome.
than I am at cooking. Let's put it that way. Although that's not much of a stretch. So I wrote a book called Really Little Wins, which is basically me saying, here's how I've worked with clients over the last year to sort of manage goal setting and achieving goals when our time is incredibly limited and our attention is pulled in different directions. like now when I'm trying to make cookies while still trying to carry on a conversation, even though Ben has given up on talking to me because I made him bake.
No, I totally listened.
No, I believe you.
So, like I didn't read your book. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't only talk about this, but I can't read.
That's fine.
I'm
going to do an
can
audiobook.
totally read, everybody.
I'm going to do an audiobook just
Read
for
this
you.
recipe. Thank you. I would love that. Actually.
Yeah, no, I could do that.
So, give me you obviously just explained the premise of the book, but what's one key thing from it?
So the big thing I find is that we take on tasks that seem huge. Like we look at things and we're like when I looked at the idea of writing a book, I was like, oh my God, that's hard, obviously. And then I kind of said, well, you know what? If I'm writing a section on this, that's not that hard. And so I really started, when I was working with clients, I really started breaking things down into really, really small, tiny, easy to complete things. And I looked at things like people would say like, okay, today I don't feel like I did anything. I don't feel like I accomplished anything at the end of the day. And it's because we look at things like, we look at really big scale projects. So we look at things like, for me, it's things like building a website. At the beginning of the day, if I haven't built a website, there's very little chance that at the end of the day, I've built a website. But I've done this and this and this and this. So the idea of the way that I've coached a few clients on this and then wrote the book is that I break everything into really, really small pieces that you literally couldn't make it smaller. So it's like, okay, what am I using for a header graphic? What am I using for content here? What am I using for this page? And breaking it into things where, number one, we look and say, okay, I've actually done some things today. And it makes you feel a little bit better. If you look at a list of things and you say, I had 3 things on my list today and I didn't do any of them, you're like, oh, I don't feel like I accomplished anything. But if you look at a list and you say, okay, I had 30 things on my list today and I actually did 18 of them, you're like, okay, well, that's pretty reasonable. Like, I got a lot of things done. So it's mostly a matter of giving people a little bit of power in terms of how they control their day and how they control their tasks. And the other thing is understanding what motivates people. Because a lot of people will say things like, I'm not motivated by money. I just want to have a great, I want to have a job that I love. And then you're like, okay, what about this job? And they're like, that doesn't pay enough. And you're like, okay, so where does that lie? And there's nothing wrong with, I've said over and over again, if you want to make a whole bunch of money, do it. That's awesome. That sounds great if that's what you want to do. If what you want to do is be involved in a community change organization where you do something different, then do that. But being honest with ourselves about what the goals are then allows us to actually move forward on things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, that's me. And then the rest of the time is just hanging out with my kids and wife occasionally. We're both pretty busy, so the process has let us kind of recapture time a little bit. So yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. What do you do without kids? You just hang out?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome.
Sorry,
yeah.
I was trying to find a break in the conversation to be really.
He won't shut up.
I never
crazy.
Shut up. Never.
So our lovely friend Chef Alain, a while back when you were like whipping it up, said, "Chef, it's nice to see you working up a sweat." Yeah.
I've been sweating. I've been sweating since I got here.
I need a nap already. Actually.
And Sarah says, "Love the variety of angles, which we have some new technology tonight, which is pretty fun, and it's working well. So it's very cool."
I'm glad everyone's enjoying.
I don't know which camera we're going to.
I have no idea. No.
So actually, let's go back to where we started and talk about PodCamp.
Yeah.
And what we will be doing there.
Yeah.
Do you know? Because I don't.
I know a very basic sense of what you'll be doing there. My understanding is you're taking this show, which today went poorly based on your host,
much better than this, I promise.
and bring it on the road to PodCamp. So I'm excited. This year has been a really interesting year in that we have more people doing much more involved and like creative things than we've had in the past. Like we're going to have after your guys' session, we have a live recording of a podcast. And the idea of having
Good luck following this.
the idea of having best of luck, suckers. The idea of having 2 events during this process that are live streamed or even recorded and having them part of that process, that creative process, is something that I'm super excited for. I'm filming mine because Kayla Short is going to be at a dance recital and has decided to skip my session. So I'm recording mine just for Kayla so that Kayla can see it. But I'm going to have subtitles over top where I make fun of her on the whole video. So it's that's going to work out well, I think. So yeah.
She's supposed to be a guest on here at some point, but she's ignoring us, I think.
I don't think she can see you rolling your eyes.
She can feel it.
Hold on, let me do an impression of Adam.
For the interwebs. interwebs.
Like I did the eye roll for no.
Oh yeah, these cookies are definitely not going to be ready.
No, they're fine. We got this. We got this. What do
The
you mean there's no
recipe
way?
said 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 11 minutes. Sorry.
How about that local sports team?
I actually, speaking of local sports, the Mooseheads are doing very well. Are you a hockey fan?
No, not even a little bit.
Okay, perfect. What's the difference? I'm just kidding. I took my son to a hockey game, and he loses his mind every time that anyone
It's a
touches
lot
the
of fun to
puck.
actually. Like, I don't even really like hockey, and it's a lot of fun going to the game.
He has no idea what's happening. You could have never seen hockey before, and you would have a better idea than he was what's happening. But it's local sports.
There is Maureen McDonald Farnham. Farnham?
Petey.
Edie, yep.
Yeah.
She has been commenting a lot, which we love. Thank you for all of the fun comments. It's great.
She'll be at PodCamp.
Petey will be at PodCamp. She's one of my favorite people. She is a hugger, and I have gotten a number of hugs from Petey. One of the things, so I'll give you guys some tips about when you're actually in front of a live studio audience instead of Adam strolling around showing me his camera and these other shots, is that one of the things that I just did a podcast about this, but one of the things that I tend to do when I'm
What's your podcast called?
Podcast is, yeah, right, I have too many things. Podcast is called Riding in Cars with Cats. It's basically...
That sounds like it's a...
I don't even like
Do
cats.
you get coffee ever?
It sounds like comedians in cars
Yeah.
getting coffee. I don't have funny people at all.
Who was first? Who was first, you or Jerry?
Jerry was first, but I feel like I did it better. I've been watching a lot of his. So anyways, one of the episodes I did, what I basically decided was, on a creative process, that I didn't have time to sit and record a podcast somewhere, but I drive around often. So I would just pop a headset in and just record while I'm driving, and that's how most of the podcast happens. And then I occasionally will have guests who I'll actually call them and do like a recording of our phone call, and we just push that out as the podcast. And when I did one about conferences and about PodCamp in particular, the ideas were, number one, people will say like, I just pictured all the audience naked or in their underwear. I was like, don't do that. That's an awful idea. You'll laugh and you'll lose your mind. What I do is I look for a head nodder. So I look for one person who is just like doing exactly this right now. You're like, yeah. And you could be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I am smiling and nodding. And it kind of gives you the confidence to kind of keep going with it. And so, yeah, I don't think you guys are going to have a problem. I think people are going to be pumped to see what you guys are doing. But
Crazy Mama Runs says that yes, she agrees she's a great hugger. Her name's Amy. Crazy Mama Runs.
Amy, I feel like I've hugged Amy as well. I feel like at Blog Jam, Kayla's watching. So we should stop saying terrible things about Kayla. No, I love Kayla. I'm really disappointed that she's going to miss my session.
And my wife is asking, she can't bake cookies. The timing messes her up. Is it 9 or 12 minutes? And then
You're asking the wrong people.
I have no idea.
watch the show.
And Louise Garrett, she's from the States. She's awesome. She's
Yep.
asking, what kind of cookies are you making? What are they?
Oh, that's a good question, actually.
I don't even know what they're called.
They're cookies, okay?
I wanted to make something different because I obviously don't like Ben as much as Ben doesn't like me now.
The cookies that Mike first sent me were two
Those
cookies.
looked awesome, but
they
we
looked
clearly
good.
didn't have time to do
Two
that.
cookies smashed together and then baked. But you got to chill them for like 18 hours or something like that.
Look, it grew to 6 hours.
You had to chill them for 47 days
18 hours.
before you could bake them.
Yeah, I would have had to chill those before I was born.
Yes.
So those were the first ones I sent, but those looked
Yeah, they look.
very good.
So we're actually making a white. Well, it's
You really have to look.
So the reason
I can't remember.
So it's a white chocolate chip cookie.
but it's not because there's.
But it's
It's like a white chocolate chip chocolate cookie.
what I looked for in order to find this recipe, and I looked at a few different recipes. I looked for an inside-out chocolate chip cookie. I wanted like a reverse chocolate chip cookie.
The chips are white.
So
and
I wanted white chips and a dark chocolate cookie, and I found this. And I looked through, and people seem to like this recipe. They probably have experience baking, which I do not. Yeah, that's why I chose this particular one. So
That's a really good story.
I like to think so.
So do you like stuff?
And like, these cookies aren't done yet.
They're gonna be done. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
we have 4 minutes.
We're gonna be
good. He's gonna eat
totally
them anyway.
okay. I'll.
Raw egg and terry and all.
There's no problem with that. I've eaten far worse. I have a record for the most tacos that have ever been eaten by anyone in a single sitting at 28 hard shell tacos.
Like regular size.
That's not an
Regular
actual
size.
record.
Stand and stuff, so the wider, right? And
Big
then
man tacos.
full of beef. And I mean, I don't know if it's Guinness worthy, but it's in there, so. What?
Look, I didn't even think about that. Like, you're just all badness.
It's full of beef.
Right, man?
That taco was completely stuffed with beef.
It was totally full of beef.
You're just all bad.
Oh, the cookies are done, everybody.
Are they done?
Oh, really? I don't think so.
They're 100% done.
They're still in both.
Oh my god, are these poop emoji cookies?
Oh, this will never air, right?
This is delete.
This is so funny.
Those smell
Oh, good.
delicious.
They
Yeah.
look like s'mores cookies. The white chocolate looks like.
It looks good. I think it looks really good.
It's really all about presentation, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're gonna.
Make
Do
it
we have
look
a drizzle that we're gonna do or anything, or?
good. Just so you know, if you order cookies from Kitchen Door Catering,
Are these-
they won't look like this
I am
when they
spec-
arrive on the platter.
I do
I
not
am-
make cookies here. just
I
for
am
the record.
specifically
Then you
not
need to
on the
branch out
production
and
team.
obviously, like, brush up on your cookies.
I can't, but I
skills.
can't even eat them, right?
Like poop emoji.
I know. Well, make some gluten free.
Why can't you eat them?
I don't eat wheat.
He doesn't eat gluten
Why did you
anymore.
let me make these?
You just told the internet we were making cookies. I didn't even ask me.
I mentioned that I would like to make cookies.
No, you said I'm going on Chit Chat Shop and I'm making cookies. That's what you said.
We could have made gluten-free
listen.
cookies. My wife doesn't really eat any wheat or gluten, so I'm familiar with that. I'll eat these. I don't even care. These look fantastic to me. I think these are the best cookies that have ever been made.
Guys, we've
I'm-
joked a lot,
I'm
but
fine
these are
with
the
these.
best cookies that anybody's probably
Should
ever
I
seen.
try and eat one on air and see how delicious they are?
Is that why?
They're pretty
Alright.
hot.
That's fine. Let's.
Sarah Vernon asked, what's KD making? Kitchen Door making?
Those
on
look
Sunday?
great.
Oh, actually, can you get the like?
What do you
Can we get a close?
Can we come close with this? Because these look
These
like
actually do look really
amazing.
good. Are you ready?
Like just gooey, nice, like
That's
perfect.
underbaked.
Yeah, that's a strategy. I actually looked these up, and that's how I'm gonna eat some of this. They're hot.
Yeah, they're. Super
I'm gonna-
hot.
Don't burn your mouth.
I'm not gonna burn my mouth. This is a waiver if there's no problems if I do burn my mouth. They're actually delicious. Like they're absolutely delicious.
Even when I don't know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing.
I never had any doubt about your skills at all.
The first and last time cookies will be made on
So
Chit
serious
Chat
question.
Shop.
Serious question.
Sarah's question is, what is Katie going to make at Chit Chat Shop on Sunday?
Nothing.
Which is true.
Which is
Yeah, we're not actually going to make anything. We're going to do. We did months. It seems like 7 years ago. It was months ago. We did the 5 tips in a minute.
Those are so
Yeah, about
good.
3 or 4 months ago, we did 5 tips in a minute, and we're going to do an extended version of that. We're going to bring people up from the audience, and I'm going to show them how to do like some of the things that people's minds always get blown about when they're in the classes.
That face I just made is the exact same. I'll tell you a super quick story because I know we don't have a ton of time.
Again, this is a family show.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We went to my wife and I went to the Magdalen Islands when she was pregnant because she really wanted to go, and we figured we're never gonna go
Yeah.
there again. So we went, and they have a famous cheese on the island called pied de vent.
Oh, yeah.
In French, if you ask Google, that means windy feet cheese. And we were like, that's probably not good because pied is foot and vent is wind. What it actually means, which is beautiful, is it's an Acadian saying that means footprints on the wind. And it's the saying for
Pretty
the
much the
rays
same
of sunlight that you see coming through
Pretty
the
much
clouds.
the same thing.
But when we got there, my wife was pumped about having this cheese. And then when they got there, she found out it's a raw cheese.
And she
And
couldn't
she was
eat it.
7 months pregnant. And so we went out to eat this because it's on like poutine and everything. And when I would take a bite, my face when I was down would be the same face that we just had of me eating that cookie. And then I would look up and be like, it's all right. It's
Windy
not-
feet
it's not
cookies.
bad.
Somebody asked what they were called.
These are windy feet cookies. They're delicious.
Ben's wife Suzanne is on, and she says, I think it's the first time I'm okay with not having leftovers. And my husband says, Kathleen, who's my 7-year-old daughter, said that they look like ice cream scoops, Mommy. And Sarah said, bring me some home, Adam.
Yeah,
So there you go.
they're literally delicious. Like, again,
Oh, these ones burnt. God damn it.
no, those are fine.
I guess
No,
I cranked the oven to make them cook quicker.
We have both a soft, gooey version and a crisp version, which,
So medium rare and a well done.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mike, is there anything you would like to throw out to the people before we end this episode?
My biggest thing is that despite my obvious failings as a cook, they smell delicious. Despite my obvious failings as a cook, I want to say this has been a really awesome time. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I love that you guys are kind of going above and beyond what a lot of catering companies are doing, which is like, we make things, and
Well,
you
it's
guys
'cause
are
we're
really
not a
putting out a lot
catering
of
company.
content. Well, you're,
What are we, Benjamin?
We are an innovative food company.
Woo-hoo!
Is that it? Is that it? Nailed it.
see, that's why they pay you the big bucks. I really love the idea that you guys are doing something that's really creative and interesting and involving the community in a lot of ways that I would have never imagined that a company would do this kind of thing.
Well, we're
So
innovative.
Innovative food company. That's
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we have a very special episode of Chit Chat Chop, as we were talking about, at PodCamp this week at
3 o'clock on Sunday.
3 o'clock on Sunday, right where you're watching it right now. You don't have to go anywhere. We're going to go and take you with us.
If you do want to go and have not
yeah,
registered
actually,
yet,
that's probably a good thing to say too. You are
definitely
welcome to
don't
come.
go to this guy's conference. But so
All your underpants.
the website you can go to is podcamphalifax.org. And if you click on attend, there is an option there
I think
for
we
you
have
to
it. I
register.
think it's right.
Is it
it's
right on the
here.
thing?
It's right here.
Just across here.
Down
Here.
Oh, gorgeous.
podcamphalifax.org. If you go there and then click on attend, you can actually register to attend. If for some reason you have problems with attending or you haven't clicked on it and you want to come out on Sunday, it's in the Marion McCain building at Dow. It's a free event, so if you don't end up registering, please come. We'd love to see you. And definitely go to this session at 2:50 because it's going to be awesome. So.
All right, Mike, we end the show every time the same way. Are you familiar with this? The guest has to eat all the food that we prepared.
This is not going to be a problem if you look at this.
That's
Chug,
the
chug,
rule.
chug.
So
I
we
like
always
it.
we always end the show by saying chit chat chop 5 times fast.
I can do that.
And
Or do like a
we've
countdown?
had successes, we've had failures, we've had laughs, we've had
I'm gonna-
tears.
I'm gonna kill this.
Okay.
I have to. Do we both do it
I'm
together?
gonna tell one really quick story. So a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we were all standing here before Patty, Adam, and I. We were talking, and Patty and I are over here, and Adam's over there, and there's a shelf over there, and Adam turns around and bumps into the shelf and says "sorry" to the shelf. Okay. So then fast forward to the end of the episode, and we're doing the chit chat chop, and we're like 1 or 2 in. Adam bumps into the shelf, and I just like heard him say sorry in my mind, and I lost it. Lost it.
And I nailed it. I got all 5.
Yeah.
3, 2. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, so he's gonna count us in. We'll go chit chat chop 5 times fast, and then we're out.
Okay. All right.
3, 2, 1.
Chit chat chop. Chit chat chop. Chit chat chop. Chit chat chop. Chit chat chop.
Woo! That was a great one.
That was actually super fun.
Thank you so
I
much.
really enjoyed that.
We don't need the mics on for the after thing, eh?
Can you turn it off?
Let's flip this. I want to see how this flips over at the end.
Oh my gosh.